Hey, this is the national treasure, Nick Aldis, and you're listening to the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast.
Iran #1. Ha! Pooh. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome back to another edition of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. We are your host. He's a stallion. I am the enforcer. And I don't really mean Iran is #1. But two things. Pro Wrestling Crate gave me this badass Iron Sheik shirt, so I'm wearing that. And two, I just watched WrestleMania 1, so I'm a big fan of Sheik and Volkov. But welcome back to the show, buddy. It's good to see you again a week later.
Thanks for having me. I respect your watching of WrestleMania 1. That's I have to say, we're not going to get into WrestleMania 1 much today, but I when I was younger, trying to watch all the different WrestleManias this is before the network came out, so you're talking like maybe 15, 20 years ago. I was one of them tape collectors.
Me too. I mean?
Yeah. And so I want to try to get all the WrestleManias on tape, or at least illegally record them from pay-per-view. And WrestleMania 1 is not an easy watch. I feel like it wasn't at the time, but to sit through some of those matches and stuff, it was not.
It's still not. It's still a terrible watch. I don't need to see what's his name doing the can kick gimmick before the main event. It was the whole show sucked, but it was 1985. It was a different time. Except you know what didn't suck in 1985? The fucking and.
Sorry.
I was gonna say the NWA because if you compare 1985 NWA to 1985 WWF, dude, it's like literally night and day. It looks like they're 10 years apart. But, and much like we're doing today, we are comparing, and we're going to talk about the great American trash, as Joe calls it, or as McGregor calls it from it open, the good American Bash, because even sullying the good god-darn name of the Great American Bash with a poorly thought-out NXT show hurt his heart. So, we are on to night 2 of both Fyter Fest and the Great American Trash, and night 1 of both shows was great. I thought NXT had a better main event with Sasha and Io, but I thought top to bottom I enjoyed Fyter Fest. I thought the pacing was good, the atmosphere was good, there were no bad matches, the opener was really good, and dude, MJF referencing Luke Perry in the Jungle Boy slander interview was tough. That dude knows how to get. He gets heat in an empty arena, man. It's unbelievable. I think he's the best heel right now, bar none.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, that, and like you said, the opener last week was really good. But I agree with your points. I thought the NXT main event was better than the AEW main event, which is a little surprising, but that's how it turned out. But top to bottom, I definitely enjoyed the AEW show better than NXT. Just like you said, top to bottom. And this week, it's a little bit different, I guess, in the sense that NXT has fewer matches, but they have the biggest match of the night. I believe. I mean, I guess that's the common opinion. Probably be mine as well, with Cole and Keith Lee with both titles on the line. So it'll be interesting to see, ratings-wise, too, how it shakes out. Last week, the ratings were pretty close, at least in terms of viewership. I know AEW has that key demo that they win in, the 18 to 49 demo, but NXT had more overall viewers. But this week, I would expect, just given the main event, that NXT will have more viewers overall as well. But we'll see. I mean, you never know.
For the main event of both shows, do any of the competitors have to gouge out the other competitor's eyeball?
Let me see here. Check on the old Wikipedia page. Let's see. Yeah, I think the Nayla Rose match, you have to... Nope, that's not the one. Nope. No, I don't see anything where an eye needs to be removed.
No eye gouging.
No.
I'll be damned. Hey, before we get started giving our predictions, because that's what we're going to do this week. I probably should have said that. We're going to give our predictions for night 2 of both shows. Again, they should be solid shows. Can I tell a funny little Impact Wrestling anecdote?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so this week on, I didn't get the chance to see it, but apparently Tommy Dreamer cut a pretty scathing promo on Moose. Did you see that, or did you hear about that?
I heard about it, but I have not seen it. So, I mean, you kind of were describing it a little bit to me in detail. I think
Yeah, actually, that what I described to you, believe it or not, wasn't even the promo on the show. What I was telling you about was Dreamer's promo on Busted Open Radio, where he apparently there's some real life. I don't. It could be a storyline. It doesn't sound like it is because some of those things you really wouldn't say about somebody. But Dreamer pretty much on Busted Open said how Moose doesn't take the business seriously. He doesn't love the business. He doesn't work hard. And then he went into some behind the scenes stuff about how Moose, like in the middle of the pandemic, he's complaining about catering. He's complaining about there being like no coffee in the back. And he's like, he's just really ousted himself from the locker room. And he feels like he's been complacent and his matches haven't been at where they should be. And how Moose really doesn't respect the business. Let me tell you guys a funny little story about Moose that Joe loves this story. Joe and I were doing merchandise sales for House of Hardcore when they came to Long Island, New York, and Joe and I were working the merch table. We were, T-shirts, figures, posters, all that kind of stuff, and everybody was, excuse me, everybody came up to us. They like introduced themselves. It was Ricochet came up to us and was like, "Oh, nice to meet you guys." I'm like, "We're two schlups, right? We're just two guys that do a podcast." And like Matt Stryker and just Matt Hardy was there. It was, when you look back at that show, they had really the who's who of people. And at the end of the night, Moose comes over to the merch table, and I can't believe this is real. Guy, probably millionaire from his NFL days and pro wrestling, and he grabs an NWO shirt. He's like, "Oh, can I get this?" And then you were actually standing closer than I was, and you were like, I think shirt's $20, right? That was the gimmick. All shirts are $20.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, and you were like, "Oh, they're $20." He's like, "Oh, can I just cop this one?" And it's like, he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm just gonna take this one. It's cool." And like, for those people who don't know, the merchandise is not directly affiliated with Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore, so the merchandise entity is a whole nother business. So like, what are we gonna do? Be like, "No, Moose, you can't fucking take it." Like, dude, 6'8", he almost broke your wrist once with a fist bump. Remember that?
That's true.
So Moose stole an NWO shirt, and then 2 or 3 days later, he runs into Evander Holyfield in an airport. He's wearing the stolen NWO shirt. Like, to me, that if what Dreamer said is a shoot, those actions just coincide with somebody who really doesn't seem to necessarily respect things. So I just thought that was funny. He's cutting this promo. I was like, I'm going to tell Tommy that Moose stole an NWO shirt. And here we are. That was like, what, 4 years ago?
Yeah,
probably
3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, it all comes full circle, right? House of Hardcore show. Tommy Dreamer, owns and runs House of Hardcore, and now Moose steals a NWO T-shirt, and a few years later, now Tommy Dreamer and Moose seem to have some heat, whether it's kayfabe or not. Yeah, and,
true real life falling out. But that was my Moose story. I hope you guys really appreciated that. So all right, let's get into the show, man. We have 406 matches to get to. I'm just kidding. It's really not that bad. You want to... I think last week we started with NXT. You want to start with NXT Great American Trash again?
Yeah, let's go GAT.
Let's do this. Oh, right. I was getting
You have NXT, yeah.
I have NXT. Actually, I have both up. Good call. All right, so let's start at the top here. Night 2, Great American Bash. Trash. Isaiah Swerve Scott taking on Johnny Gargano. That must have just gotten announced like today or yesterday. I know they didn't talk about it last week. Johnny Gargano has to win, period. The guy's been losing. Candice LeRae's been losing. Give Johnny a win and make Isaiah Swerve Scott look good. So, Johnny wins.
I agree with you. Yeah, unfortunately for Gargano, he's lost in the most recent big matches that he's had since he ended the feud with Tommaso Ciampa. They did something brief backstage last week, I think, in NXT where they didn't announce the match, but they kind of set up, I guess, this interaction that they're having this week. So I'm hoping and expecting the match to be very good as long as they give it some time. And I would also like to see Gargano get the win. So I'm going to go with Johnny Wrestling.
Next up, Breezango and Drake Maverick versus El Legado del Fantasma, which is the name of the Triad. Including Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and Raul Mendoza. El Legado del Fantasma has to win. They're brand new. Drake Maverick can take a loss here because that's kind of his gimmick, and I think I don't even know if he's still really under contract. If they brought him back, Tyler Breeze and they did, right? Is that real that they gave him a new contract?
I think that when he lost the the end of the tournament, Triple H walked out and had him sign a contract on TV. So I'm assuming that is representative of him being back under contract with them.
So yeah, I think I don't think the heels can lose here. I think they're a cool new faction or trio, whatever you want to call it, and I think they're super strong and they're all really talented guys. So I think you got to give the bad guys the W.
Yeah, they definitely should. I mean, like you were saying to me off air before we started, that Breezango is really seems like more of a team that's there to put other people over. Just be a little entertaining. I know they're trying to have a more serious side, but I think that's what their role is, and that the new stable should get the win.
Next up, Mia Yim versus Candice LeRae in a street fight. Here's the deal. Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano turned heel maybe 4 months ago. I can't tell you the last time Candice LeRae won a match. If you turn somebody heel, I understand good heels, their job is to lose consistently, dastardly, and getting their heat back, right? But you have to establish them to a point where people actually care. Candice LeRae, for my money, is one of, if not the best women's wrestler in NXT. Mia Yim is more than serviceable. It's a street fight. I'm just going to go with Candice LeRae here because I feel like she can't take another fucking loss. So Candice LeRae wins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I know this is of the 3 matches we've talked about so far, I've gone with heels in all of them, but I thought Candice would win the match last week, the 4-way elimination match, and she was the first one eliminated. So
yeah, we both had her winning actually, which is very rare.
Yeah, I just I thought that would be the way that they go, especially with Io Shirai is acting as a babyface now. So, but that didn't happen. But yeah, I think it would. To me, I would have Candice win this match, and certainly with the fact that it's a street fight, you can have some sort of nefarious, interference or something if they even want to do that, or maybe set up a new program for Mia Yim if they want to put her in a different direction. But I definitely would have Candice win, so I'm going to say Candice wins this match. Main
event: Keith Lee, the North American champion, taking on Adam Cole, the NXT champion, reigning NXT champion. Adam Cole, over 1 year as champion. This is a champion versus champion match, and it's going to be at the end of this, you're going to see a champ, a double champ, if you will. I know the results, so I'm going to pull my prediction here.
Pulling it?
Yeah.
You read the spoilers? I thought you were a non-spoiler guy.
I am a non-spoiler guy, but it was an accident. So I'm not going to say anything in regards to the main event.
Well, here's what I'll say then. I think a lot of people are probably aware of a photo that was leaked on the internet or on Twitter by one of the NXT roster members, whoever it was, who then tried to cover it up by saying that they taped 2 finishes, so you don't really know which one's the real one. Either way, I think I've been saying this for a few months now with Cole. Like I kept feeling like they were going to have him drop the title to Ciampa, and that didn't happen. I thought they'd have him drop it to Velveteen Dream, and that didn't happen.
VTD.
Oh,
that's good. That's good.
But now I think this match, set up as it is, like you said, winner take all with the 2 titles on the line, on a free version, a on USA Network version of NXT, right? Not just on the network. I think they'll do the switch. I think they'll switch it and have Keith Lee take it. I mean, Keith Lee is a guy who I know we're both big fans of. He, I think he's great for that spot. He can wrestle. He can talk. He can do pretty much everything. And he's definitely a guy that's worthy of being the champion, in my opinion. So, I mean, if it was up to me, I'd have Adam Cole be the champion forever. But I think
I'm with you on that one.
If there's someone that can take it and I wouldn't be upset about it, I think it's Keith Lee. So I'm going to take Keith Lee.
So here's what I'll do. I wrote down last week when we were doing our predictions. I wrote down my predictions. So I'm regardless of what happens in this main event, who knows? I've seen the picture. I'm not going to say anything. My prediction was Keith Lee will win and be your champ. And since it's on USA, I think this could be a good springboard for him to go to the main roster, if you will, and as the Brazilians and Portuguese say it, main roster, because they actually don't pronounce the R and everything is an H. So there you go.
Okay.
A little bit of a spoiler for you there, but yeah, I thought that Keith Lee would get a W here, and he would be a guy that you would probably see on Raw or SmackDown, probably on SmackDown at some point in the near future. And winning here on USA would be great exposure. So my prediction is Keith Lee.
Yep.
Was Keith Lee. Yeah. So
all right, here we go.
Next up,
I have the Fyter Fest card here for night 2. So there are 6 matches that I see listed here, and let's start. So let's start with a singles match. Lance Archer versus Joey Janela.
Lance Archer beats the ever-loving shit out of Joey Janela. He might, I don't know, he could probably feed him to a fucking alligator. He could set him on fire, maybe. There's a lot of things here that Joey Janela is willing to do, as we've seen in front of 5 people. So imagine what he's willing to do in front of TNT. Joey Janela will not hurt taking a loss here, and Lance Archer desperately needs a win. So Lance Archer wins.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was a little disappointed that they didn't do something with Archer right away after he lost to Cody. Feels like he's kind of just treading water for a little while as a guy that I thought was going to be a major player for them, and he might still be. But this feud has kind of just really been, where Archer and Janela have been going at each other in the crowd or around ringside for a few weeks and set up this match. But yeah, it should definitely be a win for Lance Archer, so we'll go with him. Nyla Rose versus TBA. They have not said who her opponent's going to be. I don't know if this is going to be a situation where they're bringing somebody in that maybe or not. I mean, you think that they would... I don't know. At first, I thought it was like Nyla Rose in action, so maybe it would just be somebody who comes in as an enhancement talent. I don't really know, but she also has a big announcement, whatever the hell that means. I thought. So anyway, I'm gonna say Nyla Rose wins because I don't know who her opponent's gonna be, so I don't want to. I'm not willing to go on a limb.
Everybody's big announcement lately has been they're pregnant. Just so you know. So is that? Is it because Sarah?
I'm gonna go with Nyla Rose. It's my pick to win.
Okay. Okay. Is this a spot where they could bring in Tessa Blanchard, Joe?
It could be.
That would
very
be.
Well could be.
I mean, that could be a springboard here. That would be Tessa Blanchard she's the Impact Wrestling World Champion. She comes in, she dumps the Impact title in a trash can. Bring it on, man. I'm gonna go with TBA. I'm gonna go with the who entered the Progress Battle Royal. Who was that?
Vacant, I believe.
Vacant. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vacant in this situation. Yeah, my pick is Nyla Rose loses here.
All right, 6-man tag team match. It is Colt Cabana along with the Dark Order of Brody Lee and Stu Grayson versus SCU.
Scorpio Sky said he's going to kind of go solo. He's going to leave SCU. I saw last week on AEW Dark he had new music, which was pretty cool. I think this will be a situation where Colt Cabana gets the win here and rights the losing streak he's been on, rights the wrongs of his career recently, and the Dark Order maybe helps him do that, and he joins the Dark Order fully. So I think Colt Cabana and the Dark Order get the win.
I agree with you on that. I think the storyline is more within with Colt Cabana and the Dark Order, and I think that it'll be a good match with SCU in it because they always have good matches. But I think that for the development and the further of the storyline, I think that's what'll happen, and that Dark Order will win, and Colt Cabana will either fully go with them or continue to tease joining them. Let's go to the tag team title match. It's Kenny Omega and Adam Page defending against Private Party. Private Party last week defeated Santana and Ortiz on the first night of Fyter Fest, and this match was added to night 2. One thing I guess we should know, I'll note real quick, is a match that's not on this card is Jon Moxley and Brian Cage. That's been pushed back to the 15th because of the exposure of Jon Moxley to COVID-19. This match has been added to the card. So Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus Private Party. I don't know. I can't imagine the champs losing the belts here. Hopefully it'll be a good match, but I'm going to say that the champs retain.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think if the champs are going to lose the belts, they could have done it to Best Friends and not Private Party. No offense to Private Party, but Chucky T and Trent are a far better team. Private Party does some really cool stuff, but there's a lot of holes in their game. I still think they're relatively green. With all due respect to them, they're amazing athletes. They have a really cool gimmick. But when I watch their matches, sometimes I cringe at some of the stuff that goes on. It's a little too flippy floppity. Is this a flippy shit kind of Jim Cornette thing for me? I'm an old school guy, but some of the lack of selling, and I can get past it a lot because I understand that the sport has changed and the business has changed, but Private Party, they do some cool stuff. They just need to really just tighten some things up. So I'm going to go with Omega and Page here, keeping the titles.
There you go. All right. 8-man tag match.
Oh.
So it's FTR and the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers and Butcher and the Blade.
This is going to be awesome, dude. I don't know. FTR, I'm going to go with FTR and the Young Bucks here. I'm going to say they get the win. The good guys get the Duke. There was a tease last week when FTR was in the ring with Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega poured out a beer, which, if I could have slapped the man myself, I would. You don't do that, especially when it's given to you. You could fake drinking it, put it down on the side, but you pour it out in front of him. Where I come from, it's a sign of disrespect. I don't blame. I don't even know that Cash Wheeler, right? Cash Wheeler. I don't blame
Wheeler and Dax Harwood.
I don't even Buster was like, it's bullshit, right? I'm forgetting me. He's really, see? I brought it up and he's talking about wasting beer. He gets fucking pissed.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get the win here. I'm torn either them getting the win or them causing the Bucks to lose. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to say we get the win and the Lucha Bros get a very, very important, impactful W here. No, Joe. No, good guys get the win. I don't know. I feel like you can't really pin the Lucha Bros, but you can kind of pin the Butcher and the Blade. So the good guys get the win, and the Lucha Bros and the Butcher and the Blade chop up an L.
Yeah, I think that's where I landed on it too. My first inclination was to think that FTR and the Young Bucks would have some sort of miscommunication, and that would lead to them losing. But I don't think that. I have a hard time seeing that happening. Not that they couldn't do it, but I think that what they should do is keep both of those teams strong coming out of this match, right? Like, I would hate to see one of the Bucks take a loss. I certainly don't think FTR should be taking a loss right now. So I think that the Butcher and the Blade, one of those guys could take the fall. They could tease some sort of miscommunication either during or after the match with FTR and the Bucks, but I think that they'll get the win. At the end of night one of Fyter Fest, they had those two teams as well as Omega and Page in the ring, so I don't know if they're setting up a triple threat or something, but I think that's where the direction where it's going to go. So I'm going to say the Bucks and FTR get the win. And then the last match on the card here is singles match. I'm assuming this is going to be the main event, but I'm not sure. Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassady.
Man, the OC, Orange Cassady, and Chris Jericho stuff from last week I thought was really good. You saw a different side of Orange Cassady. I don't know if you heard this, but Orange Cassady this week, he's going to try. Yeah. He's going to try. I think Jericho has done so good. He's done such a good job of getting guys over, the younger guys over in a loss. This might be one of those situations where the younger guy gets the Duke here. Orange Cassady is a guy that is over with the crowd, over with the people, over with the fans. I think we're going to find out some way for Orange Cassady to get the win on Chris Jericho.
Yeah, this is another one. These last two matches here, I've been torn on which way to go. But for some reason, I'm leaning towards the idea that you mentioned at first, which was, Jericho helping to get over younger guys in a loss. I just think that there's probably still, I know that there's still value to Jericho, as a main event level guy in AEW. I think he'll eventually, maybe he'll get back there, not when Moxley is the champion, but maybe, at some point a year or so from now. But I think that my guess is that he'll win. That's my official prediction, but it'll be, really close. A lot of near falls and stuff that, if there was a really live crowd there, that they'd probably be going crazy towards the end of it for Orange Cassidy. I didn't realize up until last week that these matches were taped already. I don't know the results, but I heard Jericho come out and say that this is one of the best matches he's had in his career or something like that, or he enjoyed it the most or something along those lines.
Really?
So,
okay, I didn't hear that.
That's according to Uncle Dave Meltzer. He broke the eye for an eye story for me this morning. So.
Oh, yeah, eye for an eye, man. Nice. Can't wait for that.
It's a tough one. So
the
I'm
other
going to go
thing
with
I want
Jericho.
to bring up, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Joe. The other thing I want to bring up is Taz has a special announcement. I don't know if you saw that. It was just about an hour or so ago. Tony Khan says Taz is set to make a major announcement during night 2 of Fyter Fest.
Ooh.
So I don't know if that's going to be in regards to. Do you think it's going to be that somebody runs a sloppy shop? Because when you heard that, what was your immediate reaction?
I mean, it's unfortunate that you chuckle a little bit, but it's unfortunate that the situation that WWE, at least what's gotten out as far as how they've been testing people and the number of people that have tested positive for COVID-19 has turned into a little bit of a joke. But they did not really do the best of jobs with making sure everybody that was there was healthy and not exposing people to others that maybe were sick or. They were just checking temperatures for a long time, I think, and not doing coronavirus tests. So, listen, he took a shot. It's fair game. It's all out there in the news. He knows what's going on. And
he doesn't listen. Taz, everybody was like on Taz, like, oh, you're just bitter and shit like that. No, dude, Taz was on terrestrial radio in a morning show. Like, the dude didn't have to leave that. Also, he had a bunch of heat with WWE because they would pull guests from his show when he wasn't with any promotion. He was just doing his radio show. They wouldn't allow him to talk to people. And they didn't bring him back for the SmackDown Anniversary show. The Hall of Fame when, was in MetLife and the Hall of Fame was in New York City. So the WWE, for better or for worse, they don't like Taz. They haven't liked Taz in quite some time. And, that's fine. So who cares? Let him say what he wants. And I also see a lot of, you and I talked about this too, a lot of people saying Taz is stealing the spotlight from Brian Cage and he's getting himself over, but he's not getting Brian Cage over. Brian Cage can't fucking talk, right? He's not a very good talker. The dude looks like a savage beast animal, which he is. He's jacked to the gills. He's very good in the ring. So but he can't talk. When you have those 4 things, what do? You put him with a mouthpiece. Right? I don't see the issue because Taz is cutting great promos. He's making me feel invested in Brian Cage and Jon Moxley. And I read something today was like, people were like, oh, I want to see Taz get his ass kicked by Moxley, not Brian Cage. And I was like, what? The reason why you have a mouthpiece is to gain interest in something, right? It's like Bobby Heenan was overshadowing his Heenan family, but he was getting heat for the Heenan family, and it made you want to watch the match. Like, people always, that's one thing I really didn't understand because why put you with a mouthpiece that's not as good of a talker as you are, right? That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like Jack Swagger was with Zeb Coulter, right? And Zeb Coulter got mountains of heat and Jack Swagger didn't do anything, but it made me want to watch Jack Swagger wrestle. So I don't know. That was just one thing that stuck out to me that I didn't really agree with.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think I haven't really taken it that way with Taz. I mean, I think he, when I'm trying to think now of what his promos are like, I mean, it's really all just talking about how Brian Cage is a destroyer and how he's going to beat Mox and win the title, and that's basically all he says, right? I mean, any match that Cage has had, he's won, and I think he won the ladder match to get the shot, but then after that, he's basically just destroyed, different jobbers or whatever on television. So.
And on AEW Dark, too. And Taz, the commentator on AEW Dark, is always putting over Brian Cage as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea is to get I assume the idea is to put somebody in the ring against Moxley that you think can beat him. And I think with the way they presented Cage so far, and, in large part of that being how Taz has been cutting promos for him, that it's set it up as a match that you think, well, okay, well, maybe Moxley won't beat this guy. I mean, I think that's, if we pick that match or we talk about it, I'm still assuming that Mox is going to retain it until, he gets to a pay-per-view where maybe he'll drop it in a bigger feud. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did like a draw or something like that or whatever, or I don't know, some sort of match to extend that feud out, because Cage is a pretty, viable dude at that level.
Yeah, I will say, though, if Cage does take a loss in that match, I think they need to do a better job post losing to Moxley than they have with Brody Lee. Because once Brody Lee lost to Cage, you really didn't see anything of him. Now, again, I don't know if that's... The other thing people have to realize, and this goes for NXT too, you can only have so many wrestlers, talent, personnel in the building. It's tough to continue storylines, I guess, if they're not essential to the matches there. They might just need them, who's actually wrestling on the show, and I can understand that too. But they should be doing something more with Brody Lee at this point, aside from just kind of recruiting Colt Cabana. No offense to Colt Cabana.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. Colt Cabana. Boom, boom. Colt. What show are you going to watch live, Joe?
I'm going to watch AEW live. I always tend to do that. And then I'll try to watch the NXT show after that if I'm awake. And if not, then I will try to catch it the next day. But I'm sure I'll know the results after the fact. But yeah, I try to watch AEW live because I feel like, they only have one show on television every week. WWE/NXT has 3 shows on every week. And plus
don't forget the bump.
And, oh, God. And then
Raw Talk.
Did you watch that Ricochet 365 or whatever it was? No?
I almost said something wildly politically correct. No, I didn't watch the Ricochet 365. What did I send you that Conan said to him in regards to that tweet about Ricochet 365? I think he's like, stupendous, a great year. And then Conan responded, he's like, define great.
Yeah.
But no, the thing is, AEW, like, if you don't, you could legit miss something, like, very easily in AEW if you're not watching it. And holy shit, we forgot to talk about the real main event, Joe.
Oh, the Puppy Battle Royal?
The Puppy Battle Royal. I'm so fucking amped for the Puppy Battle Royal. And kudos to AEW. And it was like, oh, you're an AEW mark. Shut up, I am. But AEW brought the service dogs in training out, and they were hanging out with the wrestlers there. And now they're doing the Puppy Battle Royal, and Brandy and Cody are all about like adoption and shit like that. And that is fucking awesome. Because frankly, I don't care about people. You bring puppies in, and I am invested. So I'm going to watch the shit out of the Puppy Battle Royal. I actually might buy other TVs and put it on every single television I have to increase the ratings. Because I love the Puppy Bowl, and I love the Puppy Battle Royal. I'm so stoked for it. Can't wait.
We all are, buddy. We all are. So I guess this is the part where we talk about where you can find us on the internet, right?
At All Night Long WP, everywhere you can go. If you're watching Slammiversary this weekend, you could tweet us because we'll be live. I'm just kidding. We're not going to watch that. But at All Night Long WP on your Twitter, on your Instagram, Facebook.com/AllNightsLongWP. And check out Lords of Pain and WrestlingHeadlines.com, where you could find all of our content now. Those guys have been great to us. We appreciate them. And, Joe, you're a little bit of an online contributor. I think there's a groundswell to get you to start reviewing WWE Main Event every week on their website.
Oh, wow. WWE Main Event. All right, well, I guess I can catch a Shayna Baszler match on there sometime soon, so I'll look forward to that.
So much stuff we could talk about. But yeah, it's Shayna Baszler and No Way Jose probably if he's still employed. I don't even know.
He's not.
But
that's upsetting. That's okay.
No. Well, at least Heath Slater came back.
And with that, it's another episode of the... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and his affliction genes. But that is it. That's a wrap for us here. Thank you guys for checking out another episode of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. That is your host. He's a Stallion. I am the Enforcer. And once again, we are tapping out.
Best friends.